Same-sex activity between men was illegal in Scotland until laws banning homosexual relations were repealed in 1980, but prior convictions were retained on official records. Men can now apply to have them removed under a disregard scheme.
We know that this is something that people in the community are interested in. For people who've been affected by this historic legislation, it often will have been something that's impacted them for decades, having an enormous impact on their life, how they seek work. So we can understand that actually for those people it will be something that they're keen to take forward.
It's worth underlining that this is exclusive to men, because female same-sex contact has never been targeted in law, nor been illegal. Scottish lawmakers and indeed the wider society simply chose to believe that women didn't engage in same-sexual relationships. The new Historical Sexual Offences Pardons and Disregards Scotland Act followed an unqualified apology by the First Minister to those convicted of same-sex sexual activity that is now legal.
So anyone who wants to have a historic conviction removed from their criminal record would go through the Scottish Government website, and the relevant authorities will basically go find their criminal record and make sure that it's suitable to be removed, for example, and then it would just simply be a process of removing that conviction. It would mean that it no longer pops up on your criminal record, for example. You would no longer have a criminal record if that was the only thing on there.
In England and Wales, where homosexual acts between consenting adults was permitted after 1967, there is similar legislation, dubbed the Turing Law, after the World War II codebreaker Alan Turing, who was pardoned posthumously in 2013 for his conviction of gross indecency. But this was not before Turing was subjected to invasive hormonal therapy that rendered him impotent, committing suicide 2 years later in 1954.
When people come to us and ask about the process, up until now we've just been able to say we know that the law has been enacted, but it's going to take a while for this to actually happen. And it's really, I think now that the law is actually live, that the process is actually live, we'll be able to tell those people there is something you can do, you can go away and do this now, you can speak to government and get that process started today. And I think that's going to be a real relief to the people who are interested in getting that removed. It always takes a little while to get these kind of processes up and running, and particularly actually when you think about actually criminal information or information about any prosecution can be held in little bits and pieces in all sorts of different records. So I think it does take a while to make sure that actually you're being thorough and you get that right, because the last thing we would want is actually for someone to be told that that information had been disclosed but that something had been missed, for example. So I think this is about government taking the time to get the process right.
And current campaigners have said fewer than 200 men had so far received a pardon under the new law, citing an intimidating bureaucratic system that they say is putting people off from even applying. Scotland will hope that this is not the case north of the border, as men strive for historical justice in present day. Whether this will go a sufficient distance in righting the effect of those discriminatory laws and sentences remains to be seen. Ian McNally, That's TV.